Hello to all my amazing listeners and fans of football, and welcome to a brand new season of your favorite football podcast, Gaffer's Advisor. This is your host, Siddharth Kathuria, and I want to begin this episode by taking this opportunity to thank you all. I started this journey back in 2021 with the UEFA Euro Cup, and now, thanks to all your love and support, I am about to kick off the second season of Gaffer's Advisor as the 2022-23 season of the Premier League is about to get underway. So thank you to all the listeners I've had in the first year of Gaffer's Advisor, and I hope I can continue to receive your support, love and feedback, which is key to this podcast getting better and better. With the new season, Gaffer's Advisor will also be available on YouTube. So without any further delay, hit that subscribe button on YouTube on the channel called Gaffer's Advisor and stay current with all the latest episodes. And if you are tuning in to YouTube and would like to listen to episodes from the previous season, you can simply search for Gaffer's Advisor on Spotify, Google Podcasts or Anchor, or check the links in the YouTube description. Now let us get started with the very first episode of the new season of Gaffer's Advisor, and this episode is going to be all about the rivalry between two clubs belonging to the same city. One club used to be a regular participant in the UEFA Champions League, while the other club fought to get out of the former's shadow. Now the times have changed, and this season the first club will be battling it out in the UEFA Europa League, while the other will be competing in the top European tournament in an attempt to taste the European glory after having reached the final only to see the dream go up in smoke. Of course, I'm talking about the London rivalry between Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. And joining me on the episode to hopefully bring some aspect of the rivalry to life are Karthik Vishwanath, a Tottenham Hotspur fan for almost 15 years, and Supreet Kini, an ardent Arsenal supporter for almost 2 decades.
Welcome Karthik, welcome Supreet. Thank you so much for being on the episode. And to begin the episode, I would like to start with a little bit about your journey as fans of either Arsenal or Tottenham. And Karthik, let's begin with you. How did you join the chants of Come On You Spurs? What's the story behind it?
Hey Siddharth, thanks for the invite. So I started watching football in 2006. And I really started watching it by the end of 2006 season. And as a virtue, as a default, this thing, people around me are like, "Hey, United is the best team. You got to support them." You know how it goes. So I wasn't really unfazed by that. I started watching the game, followed the game in detail, and sometime later in 2007, mid 2007 is when the way Tottenham used to play caught my eye. At least the reason why I started supporting Spurs got to be my knack for supporting the underdogs, or not particularly going for a club with a history or a glory was not basis for my selection. So that's how it all started, and I guess I think it was in 2008, right? So 2008 was ironically the last time we won a trophy, but then things were fantastic the moment I started supporting Tottenham. But then it's more of the philosophy of playing dynamically and especially upsetting the big opponents, time and time again. So although consistency was never the key strength back in the day, but then these are the performances that sort of caught my eye, and never looked back after that.
Right, sounds amazing. And yes, talking about late 2006, early 2007, it was the era of Manchester United. They were in their full force, and of course 2008 they won the Champions League as well. But yeah, it's good to know that you were unfazed by that peer pressure of going in for the bigger clubs are going for the glory. Kudos to you, man. Definitely fell in love with the game. Coming to you, Supreet, again, you have been on the show before. We kicked off last season with you. But I still don't know the story of how you became a Gooner. Like, what's your story? And please feel free to divulge each and every detail. We would love to know.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. I guess very similar story. Most of the kids at school where I was were United supporters, and this was 2004. I think it was a head-to-head clash between the two teams at that time, and I knew I didn't want to support, the club that everyone else was supporting. So I ended up supporting Arsenal, and then honestly, I did not know that they were the champions because I actually started watching the game or the Premier League properly from 2004 onwards. But at that time, Arsenal were one of the best teams with some of the best players. So I guess that's when I started, really supporting them. If you're asking of my story after that, yeah, we definitely went to the Champions League final in 2006. We didn't win a trophy for a long time between 2005 and 2014, but I rarely missed a game. So I guess you need to stick to your club through thick and thin. It's been quite the journey.
Amen to that, Supreet. Yeah, definitely. I know how important it is to stick with your club through thick and thin. So do you. So does Karthik, I guess. And well, thanks a lot to both you guys for that blast from the past. But now, if we consider just the recent past, the previous season, Arsenal and Tottenham, they both were locked in a fierce battle for the fourth place finish. It went down to literally the last day, and only 2 points separated the clubs. Supreet, apart from the way Arsenal started the last season, what do you think could have been that one instance that could have turned the top four battle in the favor of the Gunners?
I think we were favorites to end up in the top four because we went on a 10-game winning run, or if I'm right, or we went 10 games unbeaten. I think we won 8 or 9 of those. And then we lost 3 games on the bounce against Brighton, Villa, and Palace. And I think that's where we lost the plot completely. And even after we lost to Tottenham, I guess towards when there was like 2 or 3 games left, I think it was still in our hands, but we bottled, at St. James Park. And that's I guess those 4 or 5 games were where we, handed 4th place to Tottenham. Unfortunately, of all clubs, Tottenham.
All right. This is the kind of attitude I was expecting when I asked you and Karthik to join in. And Karthik, moving to you, you got to the top four, and Supreet just admitted that the bottling at St. James's Park handed over the 4th spot and the last spot for the Champions League qualifiers to you guys. But apart from that, what do you think was the decider for you guys, for Spurs, that saved you from finishing 5th and put you in the UCL in the upcoming season?
I guess Supreet put it very rightly. I guess we were fortunate that someone else bottled before we were given the chance to do it. So, yeah. See, I honestly thought. It was. Obviously the 3-match league that we spoke about. Even after that happened, right? The victory at NLD was like it was a do or die game, right? So. I did expect us to win given the form we were in and the bad run that Arsenal were on. So that wasn't surprising, but they just really needed to draw the game at St. James's Park just to keep their hopes alive. But then I guess that was morale boosting for us to sort of go on and win our last game. I guess it was against Burnley, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, although Arsenal did win at Leeds, it didn't make a difference. But then I guess it was the fact that Arsenal sort of handed it over to us on a silver platter. So, it hasn't happened to us in the past, right? It was us in the driver's seat, always in the pole position and sort of giving it away by bottling it at the end of the season or whatever. So, yeah, it actually feels good to be on the other side of it.
I don't think you guys bottled it or handed it over in 2016. You guys finished 2nd. You were putting a lot of pressure on the champions that season, but still, that was the season you did not bottle, at least against Arsenal.
No, at one point, I'm talking bottling in general, but then, yeah, so we were 4 points behind Leicester at one point, but then we couldn't capitalize, and then we ended up finishing second. Of course, there are multiple FA Cup semi-final and the final losses that we've had. A couple of them against City, a couple against Chelsea. Of course, the Champions League final. So yeah, I mean the list goes on. But then,
Yeah, well, that Champions League final, honestly, as a neutral supporter, I was kind of hoping for a Spurs victory because, as you mentioned, you gotta love the underdog. So, personally, on a personal level, I was also a little disappointed the way Spurs lost in the final, especially after their comeback run against Ajax in the semi-final with that Lucas Moura hat trick. That was just phenomenal, and I was hoping you guys would take it forward in the final. But let's talk about the transfer window business so far. Amazing business.
You can watch that game again if you want. It's available on a DVD.
And Supreet comes in with one of his own. But
yeah,
Karthik,
I mean, they had to copy us and get the documentary out, didn't they? I mean, they just couldn't bear it, that our documentary was a success. But then, yeah, I'm actually waiting for the documentary, Supreet, not the DVD. So, yeah.
all in good time, I guess. We all are waiting for more banter to come in. And if Supreet mentioned the DVD, then we can definitely go to YouTube, and AFTV is just available all the time.
That's
But
more reality TV.
that's more for reality TV, trashy reality TV, as I've come to become a lot familiar with here in the Northern American continent. The trashy reality TV is quite famous here and quite popular with people. I don't know why.
According to me, AFTV is not fun anymore after Arsene Wenger left, so I've stopped watching it. So I have no idea how it's been recently.
All right. But let's get back to the serious business. And with serious business, definitely comes the transfer activities. Amazing business so far by the Spurs, Karthik. I mean, Richarlison, Perisic, just to name a couple, coming in to boost the squad. But I would like to know from you, which transfer are you expecting to have the biggest impact in the upcoming season? And what would be the reason behind it?
See, very honestly, although there is bias that comes with this particular decision of mine, but then you have to understand that two of the transfers, especially the ones that you named, right, are a big shift in the transfer policy of Tottenham, right? I guess keeping the transfer of Fernando Llorente, who was sort of a emergency backup, aside, the last time Spurs signed a 30-year-old player, an outfield player, I don't know. I don't think I can remember. It's probably Edgar Davids, if I'm not wrong. Back in 2006. Sorry, 2006, 2007, 2006. So it's a massive risk. Obviously, I see Twitter melting already, stating that we signed a 33-year-old wingback. But then, yeah, he'd probably walk into almost any of the top six left wing back role. So he's been extraordinary for Inter Milan last season. Conte trusts him. He knows how to play the Conte ball. So yeah, he's definitely an exciting prospect, provided he doesn't get injured. I mean, obviously the demands of Premier League are going to be high. The demands of Conte's sessions and the match intensity is going to be extremely high. So plus the challenges of Champions League football. So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting how Conte is going to rotate Sessegnon and Perisic, because clearly he doesn't rate Reguilon and he's bound to leave. So that's definitely one aspect. But I expect him to comfortably raise the bar of a left wing like that has probably ever been at Spurs. So that's definitely one exciting prospect. So is Richarlison, actually. I mean, you would never expect Spurs to bring in a player for 50 million as a fixed signing fee without them having to challenge without them being part of the starting 11, right? So as things stand, I really don't expect Richarlison to start every game. So spending 50 million, I mean, yeah, I guess Conte wanted it and Levi backed him. He's a good player. He's definitely a good player, but then jury's out. So I'm excited about that prospect, but yeah, I still have my reservations against him. But I guess out of the 6 signings so far, Bissouma is the one that I have my chips on. So he was just extraordinary every time we played against Brighton. And yeah, he's probably a more natural midfielder. He's that tough tackling defensive. He's got that defensive side in him, but he can also play box to box. So I'm really intrigued about his partnership with Bentancur. But yeah, I really didn't expect us to go for him in the first place. Because if you remember, all of this, sort of happened in under 48 hours. So it was a very under the radar signing. Obviously, the whole honcho about the allegations against him and clubs not going for him till the allegations were cleared. I guess Tottenham had some sort of inside information that all these charges are going to get cleared. And they went. I mean, for him being signed for 25 million is a real coup, right? So, yeah, he's definitely the one that excites me the most so far. So yeah, really looking forward to him because I mean he was linked with City, he was linked with Arsenal. Arsenal wanted him. So yeah, really excited by this prospect.
That's amazing. So you have your money down on Bissouma as the transfer to watch out for the next season for Spurs. But interesting point that you mentioned about Richarlison going for a 50 million player who is out and out of forward. And actually the interesting part about that I don't see him starting every game with the likes of Harry Kane being there, Heung-min Son being there, and Kulusevski has really come in the form. He really owned the last season. So do you think Richarlison who do you think will Richarlison replace if at all he finds himself in the starting 11?
Obviously, I mean, you wouldn't sign Richarlison to keep him on the bench, right? He's Brazil's starting striker. I mean, he's been playing really well for the country. So, what I believe is Conte wants the options, especially with the 5-sub rule that's coming into play, with the World Cup that's on the horizon. So, there's going to be a lot of rotation, and he needs a squad. He needs a complete squad that he can trust and call upon when needed. So, that is the reason why he was signed. So yeah, so I expect Conte to play with the 3-4-3 formation with Sonny, Kane and Kulusevski up front. But then Richarlison, yeah, there's just too many games, man. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I really don't expect Kulusevski to start every game either. So the right winger role is something that's going to be shared by Kulusevski and Richarlison, but I also expect him to play up top, right? Let's say as a replacement for Harry Kane. I mean, if he needs a rest, I expect Richarlison to go up and play the lone striker if needed. Conte also can decide to go with a 3-5-2 with 2 up top, right? Maybe Sonny gets some rest, and with Kane and Richarlison playing up top, Kane just dropping deep to slot into that number 10 sort of a position and feed Richarlison to go and finish. So yeah, the opportunities are endless. There are a lot of options that the versatility that Richarlison brings in, right? So it opens up a whole lot of possibilities for Tottenham, and yeah, really excited to see how that will pan out.
Yeah, actually, but everybody is looking forward to the season to begin, so that all these new transfers that have come in, especially considering the top 6, almost every club has done a decent amount of business in this transfer window. So the next season is actually expected to be even more competitive and really fierce, if I can say so. But coming to you, Supreet, like I mentioned, none of the top 6 have done bad in the transfer window, and Arsenal hasn't done half bad. I mean, you guys definitely lost out on a couple of players to your rivals, but you have signed Gabriel Jesus, you have signed Zinchenko, both coming in from Man City alone. And we have discussed, you and I actually discussed glimpses of brilliance by Arsenal under Mikel Arteta. And in the very beginning, you just mentioned that last season you went on a winning run and then you kind of bottled it in the end. You lost 3 matches back to back, which you weren't expecting to lose. So, how much work do you think Arteta has done, and how much more building is needed before Arsenal can be considered to be in contention for a major trophy?
What do you call a major trophy? Is it the Premier League, Champions League, or you're also counting the cups?
Now, I'm talking strictly about the Premier League, or in your case right now, along with Manchester United, the Europa League.
Okay, the Premier League, definitely nowhere close, not even for the next 3-4 seasons. But if you ask me about the squad, I'm excited to see how Gabriel Jesus will come in and perform for us. I think last season we lacked a little bit in defense. So I'm excited also to see Saliba slot in. He's obviously our player. He was on loan at Marseille for a couple of seasons, where he, I think, was voted one of the best defenders in the French league. He's already started for France a few times. So I'm most excited about these two players. I think Zinchenko brings in a lot of Premier League experience and he's very versatile. Can play at left back, can play in central midfield. So I think overall some really good signings. We've got some backup in the form of Fabio Vieira in midfield. I've never seen him play, to be very honest, so I don't know how he's going to fit in. But if you ask me who's going to be the standout signing and one to watch out for, I think it's definitely going to be Gabriel Jesus. In terms of the squad, I think we still have a lot of players that we need to let go of. Before the season starts. Burn Leno, there's Pablo Mari, probably Cedric. There's an uncertain situation with regards to Thomas Partey. El Neni and has signed a new contract, but I think Torreira is on his way out. So there's still a lot of load shedding that needs to happen before the season starts. But overall, I think we've done a really good job in the transfer window. We've strengthened positions, a few positions that we needed to, especially after we lost Aubameyang and Lacazette last season, right? We almost had only Nketiah up front for the second half of the season. So it's good to see these signings come in. But if you ask me if you're going to challenge for the Premier League, then it's a definite no for the upcoming season.
And what about the Europa League for the upcoming season?
I think the Europa League is never a focus till you actually get to the quarters or semis, for any club for that matter. I guess even for teams like United or Roma, who are the other strong competitors in the Europa League. I think most of these teams end up playing their B team and just see where it takes them, because the Europa League actually adds in a lot of game time in the middle of key Premier League games or key league games. So if we reach the quarters, the semis, maybe then we'd probably start taking it seriously, and then hopefully we can probably win it. But I'm not putting too many hopes on it either.
And you mentioned about the pressure it puts on the players, especially the games coming in the middle of the week, and Thursday that too, not even dead center of the week, just right before the weekend starts for the Premier League. So yeah, I can totally understand that. But
and these games, like they played on a Thursday night, and then in far-flung places in Europe, and then there's a Sunday late night game, so it just doesn't suit. At least for the first team players, there's a lot of exhaustion that takes place, which is why managers prefer playing their B squad or second string players for these games.
That makes sense. But like you were mentioning that the Arsenal has not done that bad in the transfer window. You're pretty happy with the results, and you're hoping to clear out some dead wood, the offloading. But Karthik, if I ask you, what do you think is going to be Antonio Conte's tactics against the Big Six rivals in the upcoming season? Because we mentioned it quite a few times, the transfer window has been amazing for almost every club, and like I mentioned, looks like it's going to be a very stiff competition, not just for the top 4, but at least for the top 6 next season.
Um, uh, that's a tough one because what I have always thought is that you know, Antonio Conte has always liked his teams to sort of be well drilled, well oiled, mark their opponents very carefully, and the moment you find a space, you exploit that and do it. I guess that's how Spurs have been playing, especially against City for the last 2 years. I mean, be it under Mourinho or Espirito Santo. So I really don't expect them to dominate possession against the likes of City, Liverpool, and Chelsea because I just don't think we've got the right players to sort of dominate the possession, right? So it's gonna be sit back, sit tight, make sure you don't give out a lot of space, and the moment you get a chance, you try to progress the ball and or probably find Kane and Son, and then hope they finish and get a goal. So especially against the big six, if you ask me, I really don't expect, irrespective of whether we have a couple of more signings coming in or not, I really don't expect us to dominate possession in games against the likes of City, Liverpool, and Chelsea. So we will be on the lookout to exploit the spaces that eventually these guys leave and pass it on to Son and Kane and rely on their finishing prowess to sort of at least get a point or probably nick all the three if that situation arises. But then, City and Liverpool, they're strong, they're getting stronger. So I really don't see us sort of breaking the lines and snatching all the 3 points. If we really have to sort of get points of the top six, then it's going to be United and Arsenal. So not to undermine the impact that they're going to have, because I'm pretty sure they're not done in the market yet. And Arsenal have made some pretty shrewd signings, yeah. So I really think Jesus is going to be a good fit. So it's going to be a proper dogfight. The next North London Derby is going to be a proper dogfight, and I'm all in for it. So tactics-wise, it's going to be pretty similar to last season, what we've seen. Control the play from the midfield, pass it on, and initiate the attacks from the wings, because that's where the space is. That's where Conte wants Tottenham players to create the space from. So, set piece has never been a point of strength for Tottenham. So we've hired a new set piece specialist, a man that Conte trusts, and I'm really looking forward to how Perisic is gonna, he's got a magic of a left one. So his crosses are gonna be so interesting to see, and with Harry Kane at the end of them, it's just the potential is just extraordinary. So let's see how. I mean, this is the expectation. Let's see how close to the expectation we're gonna really be from the start of the season.
Basically, whatever you just mentioned reminded me of it sounds like an update or a 2.0 version of what Manchester United used to be, especially under Louis van Gaal, like high flying crosses coming in from either the midfield or from the wings, and then it was all let's hope Fellaini heads it in. So your strategy kind of sounds like a better version of that, because definitely Harry Kane and Heung-min Son have that finishing prowess. But like you mentioned about the top six, you're gonna focus on taking points away from either Arsenal or Man United. There's another rival that seems to be sneaking under the radar for both Supreet and you, because you guys are discussing United, you guys are discussing each other, you guys are discussing City and Liverpool. But what about your third London rival, Chelsea?
That should tell you the story. We hate Chelsea, man. I mean, that's I can't even take the name. It's that much. It's the hate talking. But yeah, I mean, so Chelsea have been under the radar, right? I guess the two signings they've made. I mean, jokes aside of people, other players rejecting them, but then I guess Koulibaly is the best in the world. I mean, one of the best in the world. He's 31, but then I guess he's gonna take to the Premier League like duck in the water. No doubts about that. And Sterling, I mean, he's probably got the third best goal to conversion ratio in the Premier League at this moment. So really, really good signings. But then what I don't understand with Chelsea is I don't see a pattern, right? So with Arsenal, with Tottenham, you see a specific direction in which the coach or the management wants the club to go in. But then I really don't see that from Chelsea for some reason. It's odd because under Roman's reign, so Chelsea always had a proper set way of how they want to conduct things, how they want to play. I guess that's missing, at least from my perspective. So all the players that they've linked to, they were just going for the big names, it appears, right? So not sure who's under control of the transfers, whether it's Todd Boehly or Thomas Tuchel. So it's very unclear at this moment. So yeah, I mean, irrespective of that, I still think they have some class players already, right? Do not forget that they spent a lot of money in the last couple of seasons. So Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, although it appears Werner might go on loan. But then, one thing that at least is not so threatening is the striker situation. So not sure if they're going to continue to play false nine. There's no out and out striker at the club at this moment. That's the reason. So you really don't know how they're going to turn out. I really hope they're probably out of the top six. That's going to be the best result ever. But it's a really curious case. What's happening at Chelsea right now.
Chelsea really has become like a jack in the box at the moment. You really don't know. You can't really predict what's going to come out and at what moment. So yeah, as people who are not Chelsea supporters, everybody would say that Chelsea out of the top six would be the best possible scenario. But I bet Chelsea fans would disagree. Yeah. So Supreet, what about Mikel Arteta and his tactics in the upcoming season? Any word on how Arsenal can be expected to line up with the new additions, or can we expect to see a more consistent season from Arsenal, if I may say so?
That's the hope, but I think the formation is going to remain pretty much the same, 4-2-3-1. Don't see any major changes happening. I think the starting 11 is going to be Tomiyasu and Tierney at wing backs. I think there's going to be a little bit more competition for centre back between White and Saliba, but I think it's going to be White and Gabriel to start the first few games. In midfield, I'm not sure when that party situation will sort it out, but I think it's going to be Xhaka and Zinchenko to start the season. Martinelli out on the left, Saka out on the right, Odegaard through the middle, and Gabriel Jesus up front. And I think our bench strength is definitely stronger this season. We've got backup like Smith Rowe, more backup at centre back, as well as in midfield. So I think last season we struggled with having to play a lot of youngsters, and the team was very inconsistent because these players have not played with each other for consistently enough. So I think there's going to be a lot more consistency in the way we play as long as we keep fit. In terms of tactics, I don't think we're going to do anything drastically different. Like I said, the formation is going to remain pretty much the same, and we'll just need to hope that Saka can keep up his good form, and Gabriel Jesus fires in the goal for us. I think we're just going to keep it simple and not complicate it too much. I think that's what Mikel's been doing all around.
All right. And with the transfer window still open, is there any particular position you would like for Arsenal to focus on? Any player among those available? I mean, if anybody could be your ideal signing for any particular position, who would you go with?
There have been rumors of Tielemans, but they've been shot down recently by Fabrizio Romano, so I'm not sure if that's happening, but I think he will add a lot of solidity and movement in the middle of the park for us. He's just 25. and he's got a load of Premier League experience under him, right? So I think that could still potentially happen, but it depends on how many players we are able to let go of or sell before the transfer window shuts. So this could probably go down all the way to the last minute of the transfer window if there is any truth to it. But what I've also been hearing for long is that we're looking for another winger. At the moment, we are playing Saka on the flanks as well as Martinelli. We've got Pepe as backup, but he's extremely inconsistent. The only other player is Reece Nelson, who was on loan at Feyenoord last season, and I'm not sure if the manager trusts him enough. So it would be good to see if he could find some option on the flanks. The name of Leroy Sané has come up, but I would be extremely surprised if Arsenal managed to snap him up. He's had a very average season at Bayern Munich, but his wages are too high for Arsenal. So I'm not sure what other options are there in the transfer window. It could just be that we stick with the current squad and wait it out till January to see who else we can sign.
So you are having some expectations from the winter window as well.
Only if we struggle between now and December, but otherwise it depends on how many players we let go of before we bring someone else in, because at this point in time the squad is still a little bit bloated. We either need to let players go on loan or just cancel their contracts or ship them out, right? There's still players like Bellerin, Pablo Mari, Leno, Tavares, probably Pepe, as well as Maitland-Niles, right? So that's almost an entire team there. So unless we let go of a few players, I don't see room for anyone new coming in.
Well, sounds like Arsenal has some things still to sort out. Coming to you, Karthik, I asked this to Supreet as well. Any particular position you would like Spurs to focus on with a month or so to go, and out of the players who are available, who would be your ideal signing for your club?
Yeah, so we need a centre back. Alessandro Bastoni is the obvious choice. He's a player all of us are craving for. We have the money to get him, but the player wants to remain in Italy. So that's looking extremely unlikely at this moment. So out of the options available, my personal out of the options available, I would go for Pau Torres if he's really interested in coming down. Because they want Giovanni Lo Celso, so he's played there last season. He was great for them. So probably a swap deal, obviously player plus cash deal, would be the icing on the cake for the centre back situation. Because that's the reason why we went for Longley on a loan, right? So because he's not the main target, and the main targets are not available, or they're extremely pricey at the moment. So probably they're going to revisit the situation next year. But if there's an opportunity that arrives, that's the most ideal signing that I probably have. And if nothing works out, then someone like Nikola Milenkovic, who's at Fiorentina, so he's available for cheap and he'll do the job. He's a short-term solution. So either of them would probably be my choices. But yeah, I guess more importantly, more than the centre back position, I guess we need one creative midfielder, right? We haven't replaced Eriksen after he left. Ndombele was a bomb. Lo Celso was a bomb, and they're still on our books. I really hope they find some clubs and make room. But then, yeah, we need an Eriksen-esque player. Obviously, there were concerns. Eriksen was waiting for us to see if we wanted to sign him, but Conte didn't want him. So eventually ended up at United. But then I really hope we fix the situation, because at present we have two players linked. Nicolo Zaniolo from AS Roma and obviously James Maddison at Leicester City. So we've known how the injury record of Zaniolo. So he's had 2 ACL injuries already, so he's pretty injury prone. Plus, yeah, it's going to be interesting because we've got one homegrown and one non-homegrown spot available. So it's going to be a matter of choice. So either one works for me, to be very honest. So yeah,
sounds good. Sounds like you actually could be on the advisory board alongside Antonio Conte. I mean, you know the players, you know the rumors, you know the link-ups, you know what the club needs, you know what positions need to be strengthened. But if we shift a gear and reach the preseason friendlies which are going on, and you both have a preseason match in a few hours. Arsenal are playing Sevilla, and Tottenham play Roma like in a few hours. So I'm pretty sure you guys must be looking forward to those games. But if we talk about the preseasons that have already happened, Supreet, Arsenal, they have conceded 4 goals in 4 games, but they won them all so far. And your last win was a one-sided assault on Chelsea. And like Karthik said, you guys hate Chelsea as the third London club. But can we expect the same kind of fireworks when the actual season begins, especially against your direct rivals like Chelsea, Spurs, West Ham, or Man United?
Good that you mentioned direct rivals, because I don't think we stand a chance against City and Liverpool. But speaking about the other top 4 contenders, like Karthik mentioned, Chelsea are a complete black box at this point in time. There was obviously the whole Abramovich situation, which lasted till May, and then they had a new owner. So there's definitely some flux over there. I think they'll probably require a season or 2 to settle down. But knowing Chelsea, they always find a way to win something or qualify for the top 4. I think that's always been something that they're known for. So you can never discount them, even though they don't seem like the most well-settled squad at this point in time, right? They still have a lot of talented players within them. West Ham, I am not too sure again. I mean, no one expected them to play as well they did last season. And I haven't heard too many good things about their new signings. So again, you never know if Moyes can work out that magic. I think beyond that, United, I'm not too sure. I think you'll have to tell us how you think they're going to fare. From I think the only player that they've signed is Lisandro Martinez. Have they signed anyone else? I'm not too sure. And
yes, Man United, like Karthik just mentioned, Eriksen went to Man United. Lisandro Martinez, obviously, you guys lost out on him. And the first signing United made was Terrell Malacia from, he's the Dutch guy, the youngster.
Yes, PSV Eindhoven.
And there's a whole, Ronaldo situation, which is obviously a big distraction for United.
That saga is definitely being drawn out a lot. And frankly, a lot of United supporters, at least the sane ones, because as we all know, there are people in today's world who claim to be supporters but are not exactly having a sane mindset or the correct mindset to view how a club should go on. And also, those people definitely want Ronaldo to stay because they want they believe he is the best player in the world. But if you ask my opinion personally, no player is bigger than the club, and if a player thinks he is becoming bigger than the club, then he can peacefully leave, and I don't mind.
Is Anthony Martial back though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yes, Martial came back. He scored a couple of goals for us in the preseason as well, and Erik ten Hag is actually looking at Martial in a very positive light right now.
Okay. So I mean, again, United as well. You never know. New manager in place. They have a few players like Van de Beek who might get a new lease of life under a Dutch manager. So you again never know how these teams can perform. As for me, I'm kind of confident that Arsenal can finally probably break into the top 4 or at least challenge for it, and not have to rely on other clubs bottling up. So I'm pretty confident. I think we can definitely challenge for the top 4. But with regards to the competing with the other games, I'm definitely looking forward to the NLD. I think it's going to be a cracking game. These games usually are very exciting. There's a lot of goals, a lot of tension between these two teams. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. I think it's in September this time, September or October.
All right. Thank you, Supreet, for that assessment about the preseason and how you're gonna go against your direct rivals, like you mentioned. Because we can actually be honest about it that City and Liverpool are in their league of their own. But Karthik, coming to you with the same question about the preseason. Tottenham, like we talked about Arsenal 4-4. Tottenham, on the other hand, they have conceded 6 goals in the 3 matches. They have won 2 and they have drawn the third one. How accurate do you think is this as a teaser or a trailer for the things to come in the season? Or do you completely disagree that this is not a sign of things to come?
So I guess again, the preseason this time around is pretty short. Obviously, they're just 4 games that we're playing, and for some reason, obviously the first game was more of a friendly, right, with the Korean All-Star team, and it was a game which is more of a PR exercise rather than a friendly, right? So I'm not really concerned, and obviously I don't want to go by the result and not read too much into the lines, because what matters is what's going on behind the scenes, because this preseason is more like a brutal training module for the players, right? So the double sessions every day, people puking in the training. So I guess they're all feeling the heat of an Antonio Conte's preseason. So yeah, the players look ripped, right? So everyone's in the top of the shape. So yeah, I'm not reading too much into the score lines. So I guess there's obviously a lot of work that needs to go in to gel up the squad. So yeah, but early signs look good. I mean, we haven't lost a game, so that's still fine. But I guess fixing up the defense and integrating the new wing backs into the team is going to be a top priority. We just have a week left before we start, and yeah. So unlike the other seasons, we can't afford to start a season in September or October. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how the change in the philosophy of how we approach games is going to pan out.
I have a question for KV.
Go ahead, Supreet.
So, Conte was bought in, like, I think, as a stopgap solution, or as, I mean, I think the general feeling was he's probably not going to last for long. What do Spurs fans think is going to happen? Is he going to stay for longer than like 2-3 seasons? Is he here for the long term, or is he again maybe a stopgap till you find someone who can be there for a longer time?
His contract says otherwise. So obviously his contract is contracted to another season. Probably by January, this is something that the board will obviously revisit and get him to sign an extension, because there's always the option to extend it by another year. So that's that. But yeah, I mean, things look positive, but then I am not really sure, because Conte is very demanding in terms of the players that he wants, right? So he has the money, he's yet to spend it all this season, but then this is an exercise that he wants it to be recurring, right? So he wants this to be followed up with another 50 million window next year. So I'm not really sure whether Daniel Levy can sustain that, right? So I mean, his comments over the last week have been positive, because he's indicated, and I mean, he's literally said it, that if his ambition is sort of matched, he's open to a long stay, and he used the term many years. I mean, since last night, Twitter has been going crazy ever since he said that. But then I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt, because there's a lot of factors, right, about the unity in the dressing room. Because Conte, when things aren't going his way, he he's another Mourinho. So I'm going to be cautious about that. But then, yeah, the players seem to love him. So obviously, you see that each and every player has improved under him. That's a positive sign. But then for this relationship to sort of sustain over a long period of time, I would say it would need a significant investment from the board, and also the players have to show up, right? Because at the end of the day, let's say if you don't qualify for top four this year, that's contest. I mean, is as good as gone. He wouldn't stay without Champions League football, and not just that. I guess this is the season Spurs have to win something. He's been back. He's getting what he wants now. I really don't see this progressing if Spurs don't win a trophy to show the season, right? So a lot of ifs and buts, and that's how Conte's regime has always been, right? So I really don't want to comment anything beyond that. So, and there is talk that Spurs are looking to sell the club. Obviously, the valuation hasn't been better, right, with the multiple revenue streams that are coming. So they are looking for prospective buyers. But with the current economic situation, I really don't know how that's going to work, right? So there are a lot of factors. So, but for now, yeah, he looks happy. He's pleased with what we've done so far in the business, in the transfer window. So I definitely think we're not done. So a lot will hinge on how the team performs this season. And obviously next season is again. So even though, with Conte, the funny thing is, let's say he's got a 3-year contract, you really don't know. It's always assessment at the end of the season and convince him to stay for another season, which is good as
He
long
did
as
he did take a huge payout from Chelsea when they sacked him.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, that's another thing that probably is on the back of Daniel Levy's mind. So yeah, it's a different ball game with him, and then I like the fact that he keeps the club on the toes, right? So it's good. It's good that you have one of the best managers in the world, and you back him and let him prove himself again. So
Actually, Karthik, your response reminds me of the last time I had someone on the episode. So basically, Antonio Conte is very well known with Chelsea fans as well, and the last episode I had Manan representing Chelsea on the podcast, and he used the words "a bagged Conte is a dangerous Conte," and exactly what you mentioned, that if things don't go his way, he becomes another Mourinho, and that's exactly what Manan had mentioned in the last time around. And it kind of reminded me that I hope you don't have to find out how Mourinho-esque Conte can get. But Karthik, coming to you, in regards to the upcoming season, we've been talking about the Premier League all along, but I want to talk about the Champions League football now. And I just have one thing to ask you on that. What are your expectations from your Champions League campaign? What is your prediction as where Spurs would finish? Are they going to go all the way, or what stage do you see them realistically reaching? And what would you say is the biggest threat that you see to your progress in the European competition?
Champions League is one tournament where you really sort of can't make any promises, right? It all depends on the draw that you get, because that ultimately decides whether you have a chance to move on to the knockout phases or not. So but I do expect that the squad that we have, getting to the group stage is a minimum. But then, anything beyond that is a fantasy at this moment, right? So obviously we are not we are not even the dark horse. So I mean, there are better teams out there. So I'm not really. I mean, Champions League for me is more about making it to the top four, is more about the revenue and how you can sort of get players to improve your league position. But then I just don't see Tottenham being a serious contender in the Champions League. So let's say at round of 16 is my best bet. But then let's say if we draw a team that's not the favorite, right? So yeah, why not a quarterfinal? But then yeah, that's where the buck stops for me, I guess. Very realistically.
So realistically, you're saying top 8 would be your best chance in the Champions League for Spurs this upcoming season.
Yeah, considering everything, that's the best we could do, I guess.
All right. Thank you, Karthik, for sharing your thoughts and your expectations about the Champions League campaign in the coming season. But Supreet, coming to you, I mean, I want to know the same thing about Arsenal's outing, but of course in the UEFA Europa League. Like any particular side you see as a threat to you in the competition if you come face to face? You mentioned Roma and you mentioned United as the competitors in the competition, but do you see any of them or any third club?
Hard to say, but I think it's typically going to be United, maybe someone like Lazio or Sociedad could bring a surprise. Roma is definitely in there, but apart from that, I've honestly not heard of half the clubs, and the other half, I've not seen them play, even though I know what clubs they are. So it's going to be weird. I think it's going to come down to maybe Arsenal and United in the semis, along with Roma and maybe Sociedad or Betis, someone like that. It would be fun to see a Roma versus Lazio semi-final and another semi-final between Arsenal and United. That would be fun to watch.
Honestly speaking, if I can be totally candid, I would like United to face either Roma or Lazio in a semi-final and Arsenal facing the other one and clashing in the finals.
Yeah, that's we already have a lot of experience losing in the Europa League final, so I don't want to experience that again.
Well, we have won one final and United has lost one final in the Europa, so it's 50-50 for United fans. I don't know which way it would go if it comes down to that. But thank you so much, Supreet.
Before we end, maybe I want to know from you what your hopes are for United season.
For me, the upcoming season is really going to be unpredictable. We have made some good signings. Obviously we discussed about the Ronaldo saga that's been dragged out a lot, but with the new manager coming in, the kind of reaction I've seen from the guy on the touchline even during the preseason friendlies, the way he has been handling himself and handling the squad and his outlook, I feel confident that top 4 is going to be very difficult given the kind of build-up we still require, given the realistic state the club is in. But I'm fairly confident about, repeating the 5th or 6th. Top 4 would be a best case scenario for me. 4th position would be a best case scenario. It's a possibility, but not a probability, not a big probability. It's a possibility if we do well.
And maybe here's a question for both of you. What do you think what do you think who's going to win the season and who's going to finish in the top 4 next year?
I think City will take it again. They have Liverpool has done some good business, but City was winning the league without a proper striker so far, ever since Aguero left. And this season they got Haaland. So I think their squad is complete and nothing to stop them, I think. So I think City is going to take the league. And in the top 4, I'm going to count Spurs definitely. And I'm going to go with Arsenal over Chelsea, if not United.
So City, Liverpool, and
Tottenham and Liverpool, Spurs, and Arsenal would be my predicted top 4 if United don't surprise us to get the 4th place. But yeah.
And Karthik, you?
So as things stand, I believe obviously City is mind one. They're gonna win, not just win it, but I guess they're gonna be your lead this time around. Probably about 10 to 12 points to Liverpool. Obviously Liverpool 2nd, Tottenham 3rd, and Arsenal 4th. However, I have a hunch that by the end of the season, Chelsea are gonna strengthen, and then they just might pip Arsenal to the 4th spot. So sorry, Supreet, but then yeah.
Okay, so
Supreet, what about you?
Arsenal for sure.
What about you?
I think again, City going to win the league because I think Sadio Mane is a big miss. I'm not sure if they've replaced him suitably, but you never know. I mean, Jota is a good enough player. It just depends on how Liverpool are going to, have deal with Sadio Mane's loss. But I'd actually like to see a title race that goes down to the wire. I don't want to see either of these clubs, take a lead and then win it comfortably. But I think it's going to be City to win.
You saw the title race going down to the wire this season, man. It literally got down to the last day, and 1 point was the difference maker, like one solitary point.
Yeah, I hope that happens again. But yeah, I think the top four is going to be City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Tottenham in no particular order for the second, third, and fourth place. I have a hunch Chelsea and United will have a little bit of struggle, but I think Chelsea will finish a close fifth and United to follow. But yeah, football is full of surprises. West Ham might even win the league next season. You never know.
Amen to that. West Ham might do a Leicester. You never know. Premier League, that's why the Premier League is the best league across Europe. You never know what's going to happen. It's full of surprises, highly unpredictable. And well, this segment by Supreet was also unpredictable. Thank you, Supreet, for bringing this up. And now, since this is a new season, not just for the Premier League, but also for Gaffer's Advisor, so I thought of introducing a rapid fire segment to end the episode. And I am hoping you both are familiar with the concept. So obviously no thinking and just go. So Karthik, let's start with you. Are you ready for that?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Karthik, rapid fire. First, Kane or Son?
Son.
Pochettino or Conte?
Pochettino.
Being the best London club till you live, or winning the UCL once and then never qualifying for it again?
Winning the UCL once and never qualifying for again, for sure.
All right. Beating Arsenal 5-0 twice in the same season but finishing second, or winning the league but losing 5-0 to Arsenal twice?
The latter, obviously. I mean, they can beat us all they want as long as we're winning the league, so no problem.
All right. And the last one, Berbatov in his prime or Bale in his prime?
Bale in his prime, any day.
All right. Thank you, Karthik. That was something. I was actually expecting a lot of different answers from you, but you surprised me. Supreet, your turn. Ready for it?
Yep.
All right. First, easy. Odegaard or Emil Smith-Rowe?
It's not easy. This is a difficult one, but I'd say Odegaard.
All right. Alexis Sanchez in his prime or Aubameyang in his prime?
Alexis Sanchez.
Mikel Arteta or Unai Emery?
Mikel Arteta. I think this is an easy one.
All right. Qualifying for Champions League every season, but getting knocked out like you're 10 to aggregate against Bayern, or never qualifying for the Champions League again?
Never qualifying for the Champions League again.
All right. Last one. Winning the Champions League or winning the domestic treble with another invincible Premier League trophy?
Winning the Champions League any day.
Yeah, the European glory you have not tasted. Well, with this rapid fire, I think we will wrap up the episode. And I would definitely like to take this opportunity to be grateful to you both. Thank you, Karthik and Supreet, for being on the show and making this first episode of the new season a big success and a possibility. Good luck to both of your clubs in your respective campaigns, domestically and in Europe. And really, I appreciate your time. You guys took out of your schedule to be here and for this awesome discussion. Thanks a lot.
And with this, I would call it a wrap on the episode and would wish all the clubs good luck for the upcoming season of the Premier League. I hope the unpredictability of the league continues to entertain, amaze, surprise, and shock us all. Before we part ways, I would like to remind you all to follow and subscribe to Gaffer's Advisor on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform you may be using to tune in. Your support means a lot and is definitely needed for the podcast to grow. If you have any comments or feedback, or in case you would like to be a part of the show, feel free to reach out to me in the comment section or through DM on Instagram at Gaffer's Advisor. Until the next episode, this is your host and Gaffer's advisor, Siddharth Kathuria, signing off.